I'm going to be putting Citadel paints in dropper bottles. You don't have to do this. I'm doing it because I want to start doing a lot more airbrushing and I want to start upping my painting game. I used to be very, very good, but now I'm only really producing this sort of quality. So let's zoom in and I'll show you. Yeah, nowadays I'm only really producing quality like this, and I used to be significantly better. So I want to start upping my painting game, using airbrushes more, and challenging myself regarding painting. Part of that is going to be putting a bunch of my Citadel paints in dropper bottles. So I started with 50 dropper bottles, which will give me enough to do a pretty reasonable quantity. So this set me back about 10 quid. 6 quid for these, a couple of pound for 20 of these little funnels. So in this you've got 50 bottles, 50 tops, which have all gravitated towards the bottom, so let's get some out, and 50 of the internal caps. So these are essentially stainless steel ball bearings. I'm going to put one in every bottle as a paint agitator. You may have seen the video where I show you the Hitaka paints. So here's one of the Hitaka paints. You can hear the agitator inside it. And that's to help mix the paint. Use stainless steel or glass or ceramic, something that isn't going to corrode. You then want a little funnel, like so, and that's a funnel that you can use for perfume or similar things. I've then got a Citadel paint, and I've got a big thing of airbrush thinner. Now you can use a variety of different paint thinners for this. It doesn't have to be airbrush thinner. It's just rather than go out and buy a special paint thinner, I'm just going to use an airbrush thinner. So, get the thinner, put a few more drops in the paint. Give it another good shake, and then take the clippers, clip off the things holding the cap down, because I'm gonna that's not cut all the way through. Make sure you cut all the way through. Still not cut all the way through. There we go. Finally, and then okay, let's put that upside down. Hold this. The whole point of doing this is that you're not going to get paint spills. But if you don't hold it, you leave yourself very vulnerable to exactly the problem you're trying to prevent. And you can see the paint start to drain away. And you get more and more into the dropper bowl. So this is Citadel paint. It is quite thick. So these are 20 milliliter bottles. The Citadel paint is a, how many milliliters is it? 12? 12. So I can put an additional 8 milliliters of thinner or water in here. So it's starting to get all the big blobs of paint out, and you've got that much left. So I'm going to put a bit more thinner in the pot. put this back on. I'm going to give that a good shake. A good and really hard shake. Because what I want to do get the rest of the paint out. This is not going to be, because I've got a little paint on my finger now, a completely clean and tidy process. I've also got a pipette and some water, which I've put in a safe place, which isn't here. And again, a bit of thinner and a good shake. But yeah, you can see where it's starting to get a bit messier now. We've got a lot of thin paint. So that is almost done. And I can certainly see the argument for doing this first. Remove the Citadel paint label from the tub. And apply it to the dropper bottle. So as you can see, we've almost got all that paint out. So it'll take you a few minutes to do each of these. I've done it quite slow because I want to show you guys exactly how to do it. So you end up with an almost empty pot. You end up with a funnel for cleaning later, and you end up with a good wodge of paint. So I'm then going to, you can see how much paint's left in that, it's not a huge amount. Pop that in, pop that on, crack the seal, you can hear the agitator go, and bang, you've got a bottle of Citadel Wild Rider Red. So that's a standard Citadel layer paint. Let's try something a bit thicker. Rakarth Flesh Base. So I'm going to actually start with finding and removing the label. So this is a completely fresh pot of paint. As you can see, I'm going to put a bit more thinner in there to try and help it flow. And then I'm going to cut through completely at the back. Shake, shake, shake. We can see the paint start to fill on. but you can also see how thick it is even with a few drops of thinner added. So I'm going to put a bunch more thinner in. Shake it really, really hard. And get even more paint out. So you can see that the paint is almost all gone there. Put a bit more thinner in like that. Pop. We've then got that sealed, and you can hear the agitator. Bang. I think that is a fairly simple thing to do, and I think that some of the GW paints really benefit from you doing that. So I'll do some Death Guard green next, because these pots get big dry clumps. So even this that's only been opened once has got dried paint at the back. It's a waste of paint. It's better to have dropper bottles where you can get exactly the right amount out each time, and you've pre-thinned the paint, which I have with both of these, so to make it easier to use with an airbrush and to use straight onto the palette. Yeah, dropper bottles. You can do probably 100 paints for maybe 25 quid. So I'm going to do 50, but there's 250 agitators in here, and I've got 20 of these little funnels, which I'm going to wash off after using in order to be able to reuse them. So I'll probably do these 20 paints at a time until I've got pretty much all my paints in dropper bottles, and I'll switch to an entirely dropper bottle way of doing it. I'll try with the Citadel Air, but I think they're a lot thinner. But yeah, I would highly recommend doing this, particularly if you're trying to up your painting game and you're trying to make these paints last longer. So you do end up with more paint because you've added some thinner to it, but Citadel paint is very thick anyway, and you'd need to add thinner to it when you're getting out of the pot to paint with. So adding it earlier, and hopefully the paint lasting longer, is a good thing. So if you've liked this video, hit like and subscribe. If you want to chat, leave a comment below. But otherwise, good gaming and good painting.